You know, remember when Sinclair, bought up all those television stations and every single local news network was basically repeating the same thing? Well, guess what, everyone? It turns out that Amazon is doing a click, copy, and paste. Gunnar, would you kindly, please play this awesome propaganda video for Amazon?
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Amazon has transformed its operations in response to COVID-19 to protect employees and keep packages flowing.
Amazon has transformed its operations in response to COVID-19 to protect employees and keep packages flowing.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy while still delivering those packages to your doorstep.
The company is keeping employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
It spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
It has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
It has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
It has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
Amazon says it has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
Every single one of Amazon's workforce of nearly 1 million people has played a critical role in making these changes happen.
I hope that they feel that passion that we have for safety,
so they can stay safe and healthy while you do too.
Oh, sorry. I just heard from my corporate overload. Amazon is doing a great job and remind you every day it's perfectly fine. Oh, sorry. Sorry,
I heard they're keeping people safe.
Yeah,
and
something like that.
Happy
Again,
if safe means not safe, and happy means very upset.
So to our viewers and subscribers, in case you are unaware, we actually conducted an interview with a Chicago Amazon employee who was actually organizing a union strike. This Chicago Amazon warehouse facility is one of the large facilities here that operates here in the Midwest. And not one, but two of his fellow employees tested positive for COVID-19. On top of that, too, they're not following safety protocol. The management and the head leadership of Amazon is basically telling all of its employees to keep quiet, don't talk about it. Now, the thing is, COVID-19, it could survive on a lot of materials, plastic, cardboard, you name it. So when you order from Amazon, you're putting yourself, your community, your family at immediate risk. A lot of these workers are at immediate risk. And, this is what happens when we have a corrupt neoliberal system where the top 1% can buy everything. This is what happens when you have money as speech and corporations or people. This is what happens when you have a sociopath who's in charge of a lot of resources and basically chooses to treat his workers like absolute crap. So, yeah. Now the media is just saying, well, Amazon's doing everything fine. Everything's all good because everyone's in a super fast rush to get things back to normal. And everyone wants to pretend that COVID-19 and this lockdown didn't happen. Guys, we're not out of the woods yet. The woods are still on fire. We're not out of the woods. We're still trying to escape the fire that's consuming the woods. So then here you go. We have the media. The media is now spilling out this same bullshit. And I'm tired of it. So I'm going to steal a line from Daniel. Hey, if you know anyone that's watching regular TV or cable, tell them to cut the cable, tell them to ignore the local television stations because they're not doing you any favors. Oh, what? Learning the weather? Well, that's what we got smartphones for. Oh, what? What? They're only going to give 1 minute of real coverage to international news.
Hey, but you
sit down and watch the news.
But if you cut local television, how will you know how many people got shot in the last 24 hours?
Or what about the cute dog stories? Oh. Whatever.
By the way, a street's out somewhere that my GPS figured out an hour ago.
Yeah, so I mean, again, this is the crap that we're seeing, and they're spewing out neoliberal propaganda. Amazon is not treating its workers well. So, Kira, Daniel, what do you think of that wonderful piece of propaganda that we saw? Because that's what it is.
Is anybody surprised? Okay, so is anybody surprised, A, that Amazon is treating their workers like shit? Mm-hmm. Is anybody surprised, B, that they're lying about it? And anybody surprised, C, that the media is in cahoots and being their lapdog around those lies? Nobody's surprised. Everybody knows what's going on. 8 Amazon employees have already died as a result of COVID. They were dying before COVID. You know, it was. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, no. I
can
think
hear you fine.
we just
Gunnar,
have, I think, with the next story up right now.
Okay, great.
You're good. Go ahead.
They were dying on the floors of the fulfillment centers before COVID was even around. You know, so what in the world would we think? What would actually change? You know, and I looked up Jeff Bezos's worth now. He is now worth $146.9 billion, which is far greater than it was just 2 months ago. Before COVID. So he has made an extra nearly, I think, $35 billion in the last 2 months just on this catastrophe alone. And, you know, what we hear from people on the ground, workers from Amazon, is that they're absolutely not taking safety precautions. They're not telling them about sick coworkers and putting them largely, and their families largely at risk every single time they go to work. So it's just despicable. It's gross. I'm just kind of in a bad mood today as it is. And, you know, this story also buttresses that bad mood.
Yeah.
Daniel, it's just, you know, this is exactly what we've come to expect from, well, everything in America. I think we talked about it. I think it was Jose. Jose always comes out with these really beautiful one-liners that I keep wanting to steal. And this is, America is basically just a giant car sale at this point, or a yard sale, I should say, at this point, where everything's for sale.
You're being too generous with that, man. You're being way too generous.
Perhaps, but it's well, what are we selling? Everything. What does that include? News. Now, this is the point I want to remind everyone. You already know this, but it's worth telling you to make sure you can tell other people as well. The news isn't news because, again, what are they tied to? They're tied to, we have to have advertisers. We have a certain amount of overhead. Rachel Maddow needs to get paid $30,000 a day. And so we're going to sell ads to everyone. It's like that YouTuber who, I can do kids gambling with loot boxes. I'll take that ad right now. That's what we have with mainstream news. That's why if you're a company that doesn't want to get bad press, buy a week's worth of news. That's why you have Dow Chemicals. That's why Northrop Grumman. That's why all these different places buy ad space, because if they don't, the news will start covering stories about them that are not that flattering. But their point is that if you pay them money, they will say what you want. And it shocks me to this day that there are people that are still like, oh, it's an isolated incident. Oh, that's just the way things work. But I trust the news. I trust the New York Times. It's the paper of record. They never lie, even if they'd make a Tara Reid story and then Joe Biden's campaign gets to edit it. It's fine. That's the way it is. So when Amazon gets to make a a la Sinclair style video with the same script, TV news is done. There's nothing valuable in there. Like, again, if you want to get local news, there's a lot of better places than the television.
Hard Lens Media. And this is why we exist here, independent media. This is why we exist, and this is why we are very grateful to all of our subscribers and to our Patreon supporters, because you guys make this show happen. And we're going to take over this city, and then we're going to take over our state, we're going to take over the country, and we're going to take over the world, all right? That's what we're going to do. That's what Hard Lens Media is about. I don't believe in being in an echo chamber. I don't believe in this controlled corporate media propaganda that we're seeing. Help us break that system, and if that video that we played earlier isn't evidence enough, I don't know what is, but let's kick this revolution into goddamn overdrive.